If you need to blow your nose, now's a good time.
No, I'm good.
So, hello. I'd like to give a big welcome to everyone watching. This is my good friend Shaun Vause and his Superman. I can't even do it.
We've fallen at the first hurdle.
I'm starting this again.
Ah.
Oh,
I mean,
welcome, everyone.
I did like it. I did like being called Superman. I don't know what in context you were going to use that, but yeah, I'm happy with that. Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Shaun. I am the Superman.
Welcome, everyone. Tonight's interview is with my good friend Shaun Vause. His superhero name is V. He's an ambassador for Yorkshire, and he's the poor sap that went all the way up to Scotland with us to film the travel documentaries for Cairn. So, I don't know about you, but it's a bit chilly in here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Recognize that?
freezing. Yeah, it looks familiar. It looks familiar.
Yeah, I stole it from you on the last walk we went on. It's nice, isn't
Yeah. Suits you more than it suits me. Although maybe I need it a bit more than you.
Possibly. I've got a section in this interview about hair products,
Yeah,
but we haven't got there yet.
yes. I'll have a think.
Lovely. You're right then.
No, I'm really well, thank you. I'm really well.
So are you still in Scotland? Did we leave you there? It looks very beautiful behind you.
In all honesty, I would have stayed there and never come back.
It was gorgeous, wasn't it? It really was.
I've never ever been to a place like it. I love the Lake District. I love everything about it. Um, and going to Scotland, been to Scotland before with yourself, but we went to Aberdeen for a fitness convention and
We did.
yeah,
To
very
celebrate my
different.
50th birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a very different experience to the one that we recently went up and experienced.
Yeah. I mean, I would have thought you'd have liked Aberdeen. I mean, coming from Yorkshire, it's kind of, it was where we were was several similar levels of grim.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but in terms of where we are, Aberdeen just reminded me of what's the program called? A local village for local people, local place for local people.
Yeah,
League
yeah,
of Gentlemen,
that's the
League of
one.
Gentlemen. Yeah. Um, it just
I,
seemed to be 10 years in past, but obviously, I mean, we didn't do that this time. We went up into the islands and experienced some real nice. The dam, love the dam.
it was gorgeous. Can you pronounce it though?
Loch ne Larage.
That's close enough.
It's close enough.
So how on earth did you get roped into doing this ridiculous thing?
Well, in all honesty, you reached out and I've been on a transition over the last 12 months into getting out more, doing more things, saying yes instead of saying no and all this thing. And obviously the opportunity to come with you up to Scotland, being surrounded by amazing scenery, popped up. So, we took the week off, we headed up. Very much under no illusions, whilst I have a certain creative prowess, it's probably not what you were looking for on this album. So very much fetch me, carry me up the side of the hills and into the moors and things like that. But I think that is an experience that I'm never going to do again. I can, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean
You've
into
retired.
yeah, but well, I mean in terms of if I work in a facility with 30, 40 people. If I ask them how many of them have been involved in filming a music album or music videos, multiple, the answer is zero.
No, that's it. Yeah.
It were free, so that always helps.
Ah, yes, and the pay was magnificent, of course.
When the royalties start flowing in, I'm
Yeah, that's
sure.
it. What was your first impressions when I told you what we were going to do?
Um, I thought how. my initial thought was, how are we going to deal with the public?
Ah,
And I mean that in terms of, I mean, I can't imagine how you must feel, but if you're performing in front, and we've just got random members of the public there.
like on the last one, when we had that coachload of Japanese tourists
Yeah,
up just before us,
yeah,
trying to film this
exactly.
lovely location with all these people around. That was really quite hard. We had to keep moving angles, didn't we?
Well, we have to keep moving angles, and you just sort of you don't because it's almost it's not an embarrassment, but it's like you feel like you I don't know whether you're impeding on their experience or
Yeah, sure.
something like that. So you're in all the gear. We've got Nick with the camera, and then you've got me following around with the sheet of music or the whatever it is that I'm doing behind Nick, and it's all got to be choreographed in a way that
Yeah, yeah.
you can't
Put it
see
together somehow.
the hundreds of people that are sort of
Crowds
10
waiting to
foot.
speak to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
actually found it quite embarrassing. That last one in particular was, I found, excruciating. And the reason is because people kind of almost queued up waiting to hear the music.
yeah,
But it wasn't about the music. I'm literally there almost miming it, really, just in time with an earpiece I've got here. It was zero effort in making it sound good. I put a lot of effort into making sure it was in time.
yeah.
But it wouldn't have been a pleasant experience to have listened to. So it was like, and as a musician, and when you're performing and you want to make a gig as good as you possibly can, that was not that. You know what I mean? But you just got to put that in your back pocket and forget about it and just crack on, haven't you? I think.
Well, it's funny because the bit that surprised me was when you were playing the violin, for example. That
Yeah.
attracted pretty much a bit of a crowd, and it were great, and everybody were enjoying it, and you had the kilt on. But then we swapped over to the vocals. I'd never even considered the vocals. Like how can you perform that when it's raining? We're outside, we're getting absolutely hammered by the elements, and
Yeah. I mean, I didn't.
I
I didn't even belt it out. I was almost whispering it at times. Just so funny, really, wasn't it?
mm,
Yeah, it was good though. Really good. It got a bit wet and muddy, but it was good. What was the funniest thing you filmed? Do you think?
um the little snippet of you falling over at
Which
Lock
which one? The one in the
Mirage.
ditch? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the one in the ditch, and I think it was you were backing up and you were giving me some kind of advice on how to walk or something like that. And then,
I mean, to be fair, that could have been a lot worse, couldn't it? That ditch could have been a lot deeper, and
yeah, it could have
yeah,
been. And in that case, it would have been a lot funnier. But
it would have been. Well, thank you very much for all your hard efforts on that, and you brought a kind of gritty Yorkshire realism
mm,
to the project, I thought. Now, on the live stream last week, and we were playing the travel documentary, and people were enjoying it, but I was getting people clamoring, "Where's the Yorkshire fact?" So, just in case people haven't spotted this, you are from Yorkshire, aren't you?
yes.
You are. And why are you from Yorkshire?
Why? Well, being from Yorkshire is a gift.
It's a gift. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a gift. Only select people are chosen. The light's gone off. There we go. Only select
Are you
few are
sat there on the
chosen.
toilet and you kind of have to wave when the light goes
Yeah,
off?
I have one of those motion detectors. Must make sure I can make sure everybody's still awake on site. Yeah, select few are chosen. Everybody applies. Um, but yeah,
Amazing. What do you think makes Yorkshire people tick? Or do they tick?
it's a yeah. I mean, it's a combination of fried food, Yorkshire tea, and Yorkshire puddings, I think.
Well, I think you're supremely suited for that then. What's the most un-Yorkshire thing you've ever done?
Um, been to a Manchester City football match.
Oh my.
Mm.
Why?
Because although saying that, this could be because I'm from Yorkshire, because it were free, and we love to save a penny.
That's true. That's true. And which team were you supporting?
Well, they played in Champions League against a side called Young Boys. So
So it wasn't Accrington Stanley.
it wasn't Accrington Stanley.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to put it here. I think you're a sellout, a dirty sellout. You're living in Derby, and they should
Mm.
have confiscated your peaked cap at the border.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm like a spokesperson, so I travel far and wide. I go up to the lakes. I've ditched into Scotland. I've been to Cornwall, spreading the Yorkshireness because more people. Whereas we all originated from Yorkshire. We all seem we have different counties and different people, but I like to just go and share that culture with everybody.
So that was like the cradle of civilization, and we've all spread out from Yorkshire.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's
no,
fascinating. And when was
few
that?
few people do. Few people do. Probably 1000 BC, I think. We have a couple of texts in kept locked up in Yorkshire that describes it accurately, but yeah, somewhere 1000 BC, maybe even earlier.
But you've got to pay to go in, so nobody's seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it. So if the expedition had taken place in Yorkshire, where would we have gone? How would it have been different? How do you think, perhaps we should do it again next year? Yorkshire.
Yeah, I think there's you've already alluded to the fact that there's a lot of things to do and see in Yorkshire. I think one of the facts we could have gone and filmed a video at Bradford City Football Ground. Um, we could have opted across to Barnsley, Barnsley General Hospital. That's quite a nice site. Doncaster Racecourse. So yeah, it. I mean, look, Scotland's nice, big mountains, rolling hills, epic views, but it's second place. And when we've got places like again Rotherham Town Centre, maybe it's just a thought for next time.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
Gritty urban realism. You do have hills in Yorkshire, though, don't you?
yeah, yeah. We have we
I've
have most
heard
of the
rumour of such thing.
yeah we have got a few hills. We moved most of them up north though because we
Ah,
wanted to other people to enjoy them, enjoy the views.
that's very kind.
Hmm.
It's probably why you're all so miserable.
The Yorkshire Moors is very flat.
The hills have gone. Oh dear. So, if we were filming in Yorkshire and I was going to put an album together, what is the most Yorkshire instrument that I should be playing?
Um, Probably the sax pot.
What's a sax pot?
Well, the sax pot is, and again, this only Yorkshire people will know what this is, but it's a converted teapot. So on the converted teapot, you blow into the spout, and then it's as if it's a saxophone.
I see. I see. I'm slightly concerned as whether you can still make tea with it afterwards.
Yeah, well, like all things Yorkshire, it's multifunctional.
Dual purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would have thought most of the Yorkshire instruments would be one-handed instruments so that you can use your other one to hold a pint or
Yeah.
pet your whippet or something.
Well, this is the beauty of the saxopot because you can have a drink of tea while you're playing it.
Amazing.
Hmm.
Amazing. On a more serious note, one of my mum's favourite films was Brassed Off. Did you ever
Mm.
see?
Yeah, I'm actually from the neighbouring village where that were filmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely fantastic film. I mean, apart from you kind of get to see a bit of the scenery and what people are like, but the music in it is just wonderful. They got the wonderful colliery bands. I can't remember which one it was now that played in that. I'd have to look it up. I did know at one point. But interestingly, my uncle Ray Farr, he is a kind of world famous brass band conductor and musician, and yeah, he played in a colliery brass band for many many years. So yeah, they kind of got a little bit of a family connection there. So even though you've moved all your hills from Yorkshire, which means that you've had to move to Derby because there's so many hills in Derby, You have taken to collecting hills and mountains, haven't you? That's your new hobby.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, tell us about it.
So we're part of a training group, you know, ASC coaching. And
I should break in here. I've kind of done this in the wrong order, but both uh, Shaun and I do powerlifting. So you've done a lot of powerlifting over your time. You coach it. You've also done strongman, which just explains that fine physique. And if anyone needs nutrition advice, then Shaun's definitely the person to go to. I probably should have talked about that first, but I got onto hills. So crack on.
yeah. No, so one of the biggest mantras of that is, movement is medicine, go for a walk sort of thing. And like I said, this year I've put more of an emphasis of being outside. I think it's really good for you. I think it's one of the best natural medicines you can do, just being out in fresh air. Um, so I'm currently doing two things. I want to do all the Wainwrights in the Lake District. So I started that this year. The Wainwrights a collection of hills as labelled by Alfred Wainwright up in the Lake District, which is supposed to be the 214 most best hills that you can do in England.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I also want to collect all the trig points in the Peak District because that's within striking distance of me. And I think going out and doing and seeing things, and again, which is a lot of why I said yes to this opportunity. We went to the top of Ben Arn, and
That's
that was the best view I've ever seen from the top of any mountain.
it was
Um,
remarkable, to be fair.
yeah, and I think because I've worked in a very corporate job for a number of years before I relocated to this one, and you almost become not institutionalized, that's a strong way of putting it, but you come very robotic in terms of going outside and realizing what's good for you and what kind of a rut you're in. And I think this year having that as a focus sort of gives me the opportunity to get out a little bit more and then get something back from it as well. I like to be goal oriented and have something at the end of it. So
I was going to ask you that because for me, if I was going to do hills, I'd need some way of recording them and ticking them off and seeing a progress chart or something because I just like to see progress. So how do you deal with that? Do you record them on a map or something?
yeah, pretty much. So I've done a couple of walking challenges. I've done the Ullswater Way. I've done the Edale Skyline, which are both like 20+ mile walks. And then on the trig points, I have it on my desk here at work, to be fair. I just have like a tick.
Or
That's
it's
not
kind of
showing you, but
ghosting in and out? But yeah, we believe you, honest.
yeah, I have all the trig points lifted, which are 88. And then tick them off when you've done it in datum, and then the Wainwright similar, but everything's done on an app, so it's
Oh,
really easy.
nice. And are you going to have a party when you've finished?
Well, the thing is, I
Wainwright
don't.
party.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think you ever finish though, because whilst doing this, obviously falling in love with the Wainwrights and all that sort of stuff in Lake District, I start three others, then I start looking at ones down south, I start looking at Snowdon, and then that takes you into Wales. We tickled Scotland, which is the next level in it, it's one up from Lake District. So what you think's
I'd like
big,
to
you
have done some
don't.
longer walks in Scotland, really. We were on a tight time frame,
Yeah,
shoestring budget,
yeah,
and we just had to get so much done in 3 days. It was ridiculous. So we couldn't afford to do a 20-mile walk, could we?
no, no.
Especially not with all the gear, for sure. I'd definitely go back for a more of a holiday, rather than a trip. I think it's hard convincing anyone that it was um, purely a drudgery being a work trip, but I think you could definitely do it so it was a bit more relaxed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, we went for a purpose, didn't we? And
Oh, yeah,
we
we did.
we made fantastic progress through. I think we did two songs a day while we were up there. But
We got really
the
lucky with the weather as well.
yeah, we did, and
I mean, I
and
got
we
sunburnt. You got sunburnt as well, didn't you?
yeah, I mean we started early and we were finishing late, and there were long days, and most of it is walking backwards and forwards to locations. I mean, we had a couple of climbs. We had Ben Arm, which is an out and out climb, and then the Rock as well. You know, the Praying Hands of Mary.
That shouldn't have
That
been a long walk, should it?
no, it shouldn't have
But
been a
it
long
took
walk,
ages, and
and
it was just actually just so much. I think if we knew how long it had going to be, we would have just sucked it up. But the fact that we thought it was short and it wasn't was the killer.
yeah, and it was so remote. You know, the the walk was just getting to the location. It was not like it had a car park next to it, and then you popped over to see the monument. It was so remote.
But the good thing about it was there was no one there. Well, actually, there was two people there, but then
Yeah,
but for drone filming, it's really hard if you've got people wandering in and out.
yeah.
Um, it's extraordinarily difficult. We couldn't have done it at the castle, for instance.
No,
No
absolutely.
way,
Well,
because there's
no.
just hundreds of people all around. So I mean, that one there, I'm really pleased with because it was just a one shot film. Bam! It's the fact it's just in one shot with no cuts. I think is really lovely. And you can see the scenery from all different angles, and of course the actual rock itself, which is yeah beautiful. And and you two guys hunkering down behind a rock so you couldn't be seen by the drone amused me greatly. Amazing. So, going back to your lifting, how long have you been lifting for?
Um, so when did I first compete? Probably first competed 2015,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, so quite a while, 10
Okay.
years, maybe more than 10 years actual lifting.
So, I mean, not everybody knows what powerlifting is.
No.
So, I mean, I think most people think it's to do with, I think it's actually bodybuilding, I think, which it isn't at all, really. So perhaps just give us a little taster of what actually is this weird sport. It's quite niche.
Yeah, well, I mean, I started in strongman. That's where I started in the lightweight under 80 kilo category.
Oh, I love strongman.
Yeah, and it come about that I just wanted something to do. You know, I'd changed jobs and I didn't weren't doing anything, so I just started going to the gym, and there were a couple of guys that competed in the under 90s at the gym, and never trained before. I'd always done physical jobs, but you know, I think I pulled a couple of deadlifts in the gym, and they were like, "Do you compete?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't." And they were
Just
like, "Well, you might like. How often have you done it?" I'm like, "This is literally my first time." I think I pulled something like a 160 deadlift, weighing something like 60 kilo at the time.
man, that's massive, really.
Yeah, and they were like, "No, you maybe you need to do something with that." And then my first full competition was Britain's Strongest Man under 80, which at that time it were a very new sport. The standard weren't what it is today. Absolutely not. But there were some very credible people in there. You know, Shane Germain were in there. He's an international strongman coach now. You know, coaches Tom Stoltman, all those guys.
Amazing.
Yeah, we had Paul McCaffrey, world champion powerlifter, and we had a couple of other elite guys that competed, and I managed to nick fourth place in that on it. Lost on account back, technically third, I suppose, but you know I got the smaller trophy, and then went from there. Spent a good 5 6 years competing in strongman, then stepped away due to a relocation, job change, and all that sort of stuff. And then when I started training again, went into powerlifting. A lot more static as you get a little bit older. You don't really want to be running around with ridiculous amounts of weights. And I was never the most resilient of people to injury. I'm very small and very explosive, which is sometimes a recipe for disaster when you don't have great form, which I don't.
To be fair, let's just put this into context. You're not a small gentleman. You are
No,
taller than me. You must be 6 foot. 5'11".
just under, yeah,
Yeah,
5'11", something
you're a
like
bit
that.
taller. You're definitely taller than me, and you're pretty wide actually. You look like a bus from behind. You're not a small gentleman. But when we went up to Aberdeen and we met the actual strongmen, the open weight strongmen, who did
Yeah,
we see? We went up and shook hands with Thor,
yeah,
and
yeah.
his hands were just. I've never seen anything like it. They were bigger than my head. They
Yeah.
were huge. He could just I think I came up to about his nipples. It was utterly ridiculous. I've never seen a human being so huge. And it does make you think, well, you can be as strong as you like, but when you've got monsters like that, you know, you definitely need different categories, don't you?
Yeah, you do, and you know, it's funny because you know my perception of big and yours is probably different to a lot of people's because, like you say, I'm not a small guy. I can walk around a supermarket and be as big, if not bigger, than a lot of guys in there. But I look at myself as, you know, small because you
Yeah,
you go and you stand there when you walk in the circles with the Tom Stoltmans and like you said the
yeah.
Thors and
They were massive, weren't they?
even the lower level guys. I mean, if you look at somebody like Shane, for example, who I've competed against before, who's a really good coach, and he's 5'6", but he is as wide as a bus. Or maybe you even include somebody like Adam in that, who again he's 5'5", 5'6", but as wide as a door. He's like, you know,
Honestly, the first time I actually met him in real life after being coached on Zoom for I don't know how long or whatever it was, Zoom, WhatsApp, whatever, and actually met him in person, sat across the table from him over a steak, and I couldn't believe how wide his shoulders were. I mean,
yeah,
I just kept looking, thinking, they can't be real. Bonkers. And I think his height makes him look even wider. Anyway,
yeah.
what is this powerlifting? We still haven't got that far. What is it?
No, so transferred into powerlifting, which is basically just an all-out squat, an all-out bench press, and an all-out deadlift.
Three
Just do
lifts.
it. Yeah, three lifts. Who is three attempts at each lift? Who is statically the strongest man in the room and woman? Um, who who can lift the most weight? You know, it's one plus two plus three, and that's that.
I think it's a really interesting sport because you're there competing with a whole bunch of other people,
Mm.
but there's really nothing you can do that can make them perform worse or you perform better. You peak for a certain weight, you kind of know what you're going to lift when you get there, and you aim to lift what you're hoping to lift. So in a way, it's more like competing with yourself, isn't it, than the actual people?
If you consider it to be a competitive sport, as in it's me versus you, you won't find many sports with as much camaraderie and support
Agreed.
for
Yeah.
somebody that is in direct competition with you. You know, quite often the guy that's cheering you on is the guy that you're trying to beat. So, and it's
Lovely
like you said,
atmosphere.
yeah, everybody knows, and I mean, you know, I've worked with you for probably 12 months as well. We know when we get to that point, whether it's a the week of the big lifts, we know roughly what we're going to do. Um, and then it's just about going and doing it. You can't control what I'm going to lift. I can't control what you're going to lift. But let's see.
And yeah, but as you say, there's always a great feeling in the room. People are always cheering each other on. If someone gets a PB or lifts a good lift, everyone's cheering for them. It's a really lovely sport from that point of view. Generally, really cold, as
Yeah.
far as I could tell. There's something about powerlifting and heating. They never seem to be in the same room, do they?
No, they don't go hand in hand.
For my back and my age, it's not a good thing at all. Um, So yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you did 12 months of training with me, where you coached me. I wanted to, I mean, my history for people who don't know, I've done many different sports, mostly in martial arts. I've always done lifting, well, since I went to university, but as very much as a sideline, to support my martial arts. Um, and then at some point I kind of switched probably over after 40, wasn't it? It'd be in my
Yeah.
40s. But I kind of cut down on the martial arts, and decided to do the weightlifting as my main thing. I found it really helpful, especially when you've got lots of kids in the house. I don't need to leave the house. I can just literally dip down into the basement and I can still listen out for screams and come up if necessary. So it was very good, and I've really enjoyed doing it. So yeah, you trained me for 12 months, and actually, interestingly, I've done quite a lot of different programs over the years, but yours was very different. Um, I We didn't really lift heavy, did we? Weirdly, I mean, when I say
No.
heavy, we do lift heavy, but I wasn't feeling like um, I wasn't like doing 95% lifts every week, and completely. straining myself, and it felt a lot more kind of relaxed than that. Do you want to talk us through that kind of style of training? That's
Yeah, I think there's a big misconception when we talk about powerlifting that everything's heavy all the time because we aim for the maximal amount of load in the
yeah, yeah.
competition. The training on the lead up to that, and let's not forget when we started together, it was sort of off the back of some back issues for you. So
Yes, I pulled my back in the competition, didn't I? Again, I think that was because it was so flipping cold. I warmed up
yeah,
really well, but I don't know. But yeah,
and we looked at what the goal was, so we didn't have any numbers, but I said, look, let's try this. I work on the basis of really simple compound movements, sub-maximal training over time is what you'll improve on, and it'll build up stability potentially without aggravating weak areas. So for example, we'll take the squat. We don't squat as in the traditional sense with a bar because we know that it aggravates your back.
and my elbows and probably
And your elbows and shoulders and pretty much everything. So we do a safety bar squat, and that's what we use as the metric for improvement. So if we're not competing, and we've had this conversation before where you said, I think I want to squat again, and I'm like, well, why? And you say, well, because, and I'll say, well, are you going to compete? And you're like, well, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, why risk it? You know, it's improving in anything training related is about staying safe for as long as you can. If we have no goals to compete, and we've peaked a couple of times, we've taken your lifts to the max, but we've done it in such a way that let's do 6 months worth of solid, simple training, safety bar squats, bench press, solid deadlifts, the minimal effective amount for you to improve. And if you look at the numbers, what we started on, I think we started on like 120 kilo deadlift and you finished on 230, something like that. 110 kilo in 12 months on top of a deadlift post injury is
to
remarkable,
be
really.
fair, that wasn't my max at the time. That was what we trained with, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Um, but as you say, we were coming back off an injury, and I was a bit dubious about even lifting that. So it
Yeah,
did
and
work.
and I mean, for all intents and purposes, I know that, you'll argue the point on here, but at 140 bench, there's no getting around that. That's just an amazing bench press, isn't it? And so, and what did we do on the squat? 200, something like that, 190?
180, 180. I think it was 180.
No, you've done 180 before. You've done more than that.
I remember.
We'll consult the files and
Yeah,
Matt will drop an image in here.
yeah,
Um,
that's it. Yeah, but not bad for a 50-year-old, to be
Not
fair.
bad, not bad for a 50-year-old, and just in general strength standards and longevity, you haven't been injured in over 12 months.
No, which is lovely,
Um,
isn't it? Yeah, it was
it's
good.
lovely. You've got your strength back to all-time best,
So
and you've had a good time.
yeah, I have. It's been really good. And thank you for that because I think you've come up with a program that was worked very well with my particular body. Do you change it for other people that you're working with, and you do different styles, or
Yeah,
just like a template you can almost give to anybody?
it depends. It depends what somebody's goal is. We wanted the goal of getting stronger, but life takes over. So if you look at yourself, you have a very busy life. So we have to make some things sustainable over time. So it's no good me programming a 2.5 hour bodybuilding session for you because it's not going to help your strength goals. It's not going to help your life. So we look back at what equipment you've got, what's accessible to you, how many days you want to train, and what we want to achieve, and then we'll put that in for you. Well, very bit. You train very similar to me. You don't have a massive amount of time, so we'll focus on the compounds, keep it sub-maximal, and then there we go. And then we'll progress over a long period of time, very slowly. For somebody who's potentially a little bit younger, like some guys that I coach, probably early 30s, who are just getting into it, they'll probably handle a lot more accessory work, a lot more variation in the workouts and train for a little bit longer because they haven't got the foundation. And I mean, there's certain things about you, and I know you personally, so it's a little bit different than coming to a coach. But I know that you've trained in martial arts. I know that you've got a good understanding of weights and movements and your own body. So that initial period, that feeling out process, made it so much easier. And the other thing is, you respond so well to feedback and cues. So,
That's
if
martial arts again, though. It's
yeah,
you have to have everything within a centimeter of all your feet in the right position, everything pointing in the right direction. So I kind of do that in whatever. I mean, it's funny if you take me to do ten-pin bowling. I'm not particularly good at ten-pin bowling, but I apply I apply the same thing to ten-pin bowling. So I make sure I've got my run up exactly the same, and I'm coming in, and it's just the way to do it, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, no, it is, and like you said, what works for you might not work for me, might not work for somebody else. So every person that I work with is slightly different, but my overall philosophy is simplicity. Let's not overcomplicate things, you know.
It's that Yorkshire coming back in it again, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 it is, and it's easier to program.
And do you lift in a flat cap?
Always, I do. Listen, I do everything in a flat cap.
Ah, but it's filtered out, isn't it, by Zoom at the moment
It's really small.
with your Britney headset,
Yeah,
Britney Spears headset. I love it. So when we went up to Aberdeen, we were treated to seeing the Highland Games,
yeah,
and I think for me that was one of the highlights. Actually, I liked lots of
yeah.
things about that trip, but it was so good. And they've basically got no safety awareness whatsoever. I loved it. We were right next to them while they were chucking these massive things about. Looking back on it, it was ridiculous, really. But they did caber tossing. They tossed the bags over the. What else did they do?
Yeah,
What's the
the
round one?
capers, the bags, the hammer,
Hammer.
but
Yeah, yeah.
they didn't throw the hammer, obviously, did they? But just loads of, he's just throwing in it. But the guys, some of the guys, I mean, the top guys are so athletic.
That Vlad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not what you'd think of if you thought of a big Scottish lump, really, was he? He was.
No, but so athletic, and we
That's it.
spoke to him, and he'd been to the Olympics one year, didn't he, or the Olympic trials or something. He was that
Javelin.
sort of
He did javelin,
javelin,
didn't
yeah.
he?
He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that sort of caliber of athlete, and he's done still to this day one of the most impressive things I think I've ever seen. Just stood still with his heels together and do like a 3 foot, 4 foot vertical jump as a warm up just from nothing. Like, oh my God, who's this guy? But again, a specimen, 6'7", massive, just long,
He looked like
powerful.
something out of a film, I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah,
Um,
just built for it.
yeah, and just the way they move,
It's
it's just
different. Yeah,
yeah, it's nice to see. Yeah, I enjoyed that. So, have you changed your training to kind of? I mean, when I was at my powerlifting peak, um, you get quite heavy and you get quite big with it. I mean,
yeah,
because that helps put the numbers on. The more water you've got in your body, the more just everything on your body really helps you
yeah.
actually. But it doesn't mean you're in prime condition to walk up a hill. So have you changed your training to kind of help you with your Wainwright goals?
Yeah. So, as a general, and this might lose your viewers, but
Oh, they've gone ages ago.
they've gone.
You
This is
and me,
just me
buddy.
and you. Um, so my average walking steps per day last year was something like 2,500 average over the year, like ridiculous. And this year we close to 10. It's like nine thousand nine
Oh, that's
hundred and
massive
something.
different.
Yeah, it is. And the interesting thing is, I'm not dissimilar in body weight, but I'm a hell of a lot fitter, which transfers over to the powerlifting better because my recovery time between sets and all that sort of stuff is good. Obviously, I've got a back injury myself at the minute, so I'm not absolutely pounding the poundages, but then I don't feel the need to either because it's not a focus, it's not a goal. If I can still keep the strength at a decent level, live vicariously through others, through my coaching. John put some big numbers up.
Yeah.
I'll take credit for them. You've put some big numbers up. I'll take credit for them as well, and that's enough for me at minute. The last
I
competition
just
I
wonder
did.
if you're going to just turn into a bench monster and just do bench or something.
No, I don't think so. I think, the last full comp I did was 2022. And I weren't even at the strongest I'd ever been then. And for me, I think
You've got big numbers though, to be fair.
I got big numbers, but I didn't get all time big. I had a nerve issue with my arm, and it was basically 6 weeks prep of just
I
squatted.
don't think you deadlifted anything, and then
I
you
did
just
two
came into the
deadlift.
comp and did deadlift.
Yeah, I did
Madness.
two deadlift sessions. I did one first deadlift session at 220, and then I did another one a couple of weeks later, just feeling it out. I think I pulled 250 with a band, and then turned up at the comp and it's 270, 265, something like that. Same
That's
with the
the
bench. I
base you
didn't,
put in over all these years. The underlying
yeah,
base doesn't go anywhere, does it?
no, and I didn't bench at all through the entire prep. The only bench press I did were the warm ups and the three lifts in the comp. That were it. So, I don't program like that for anybody who's wondering, but um, very much do as I say, not as I do, sort of thing.
So what's next on your personal adventure list? Lift?
Um, yeah. So the focus is going to be back end it. Yeah, I want to go and do Snowdon again because I feel like I didn't touch the summit. You know what I mean? I didn't
Why
touch
didn't
it.
you touch the summit? Tell us what happened.
We got weathered off. Um, we got so close to the top, probably 100, meters away from the summit, but the visibility were basically zero, and there was a crosswind that it were just it were too dangerous. And in retrospect, now I can look back and say, "Oh, you should have carried on." But
Hmm.
I know myself
I
at
don't know
that
about that.
point. Yeah, at that point, if I've turned around and gone back, I'd had enough. Do you know what I mean? I'd
Yeah.
had enough. And I don't mind saying that now. It sits with me that I didn't do it, but I think I didn't, I,
Yet.
I couldn't do it. So, and that were fine. And I underestimated that. And that were very much which drove a lot of this Wainwright and Peak District thing. Because I turned up to Snowdon fresh off of the couch, like basically, I were in the middle of a peak prep. So I were running like quite a heavy training cycle. I packed all my food in glass Tupperwares, so I went upside of that at about 120 kilo when you had the backpack on and everything. And because I'd read like go up this path, it's a nice little stroll, and I got it into my head that it were going to be like a walk round a country park, and it's not. It's a mountain at the end of the day, and I got so close to the top, and then it really kicked my ass and sent me back down.
So we can do that again. Now, is that one that I could do, or is it too?
No, you could do that.
It's not too scary.
No, you could do Snowdon. You handle hills pretty well. You
I'm
you've
fine
got to
unless suddenly
yeah.
it gets a little bit too exposed and a bit too
The,
climby.
there's a bit there's a bit there's no exposure on Snowdon, not really. There's a couple of steep bits, but it's not exposed.
Oh, give
Um
me a shout. Maybe we do it together. That'd be fun.
yeah. Well, I'm planning to go back in November, so when I'm going, I'll tell you.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. So, if you had to sum up our entire Scottish expedition with one of your Yorkshire facts, what would it be?
Well, I mean, to put me on the spot there, all I can say is watch the documentaries for the Yorkshire facts. There's a plethora, and I'm pretty sure if we do something like it again, there'll be many more that come to the front.
It was an absolute pleasure doing the expedition with you. Um, my face ached most evenings after laughing so much. 'Cause you're just such an amusing gentleman.
I think you just learnt a lot. I think that's what it is. I think you were so happy to gain a lot of knowledge that you didn't know were out there, and I saw especially the one about the scone. I know for a fact that
I
y-
mean, the viewers are going to be blown away by that.
yeah,
Solved one of the biggest
mysteries. Yeah. Well, I've
world
cleared it
problems.
up. I've cleared it up. It's only a mystery if you don't know, but yeah, Mythbusters.
There we go. There we go. So, I just want to give you a big personal thank you for coming on that trip with us. Really appreciate it. You're an extraordinary gentleman, and I really appreciate you taking the time with me. Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate it.
over and out.